Employment is people in the labor force looking for a job and are currently not working. And labor force is people from the total population, the age 16 until 65 who are not in institution and who are either employed or unemployed but seeking jobs. Unemployment have 6 types, which is cyclical unemployment, structural unemployment, frictional unemployment, seasonal unemployment, and technological unemployment. Economic development added many new jobs to the Indonesian economy, thus pushing down the nation's unemployment rate. Especially the industry and service sectors experienced major increases in their employment shares toward national employment. At the expense of the agriculture sector, whereas in the 1980s, around 55% of Indonesia's working population was concentrated in the agriculture sector. Recently, this figure has declined to below 40%. In 2001, the definition of unemployment to include 3 more groups of the unemployed on top of the traditionally major unemployed, which is defined as part of the labor force who are not working and actively looking for work. The 3 additional groups of unemployed people are those who are not working and are not actively looking for work because they do not believe work is available, discouraged workers, those who already have jobs but have not started working, and those who are preparing a business. Prior to 2001, these groups of people will be considered out of the labor force, hence not included in the unemployment rate calculation. The first group makes up the majority of the additional persons considered unemployed under these new definitions of open unemployment. This study provides a critical overview on the measurement of unemployment that have been used in Indonesia and their consequence on the measured strength of unemployment rates in the country. Effects of unemployment for individual is unemployment brings hardship as well as emotional suffering, the loss of the self-esteem, and the feeling of inadequacy, which can lead to depression, frustration increase, domestic violence, and suicide. While for family and society, is the family is affected because family income falls expenditure reduce also, this can lead to increase in domestic violence and families to split up. When there is unemployment, there will be underutilization and unused resources and the economy cannot reach its optimum production level, the GDP will widen and productivity decrease.
So now I'm going to talk why the unemployment is getting higher and higher. The first one, due to our research, the global economy underwent a drastic slump due to the global financial crisis in 2008. It has caused a continued increase in general level of prices of goods and services. The fact that we can see in our world that there is the highest recorded global inflation that happened in 2008. There is a situation where the information rate increased by more than 6.4% comparison to the previous year. Okay, next, the financial crisis has impacted the global unemployment rate. The fact is, in 2019, the global unemployment rate jumped to around 6.2% and it is not expected to recover to pre-crisis level anytime soon. Since we know nowadays the global are facing the pandemic COVID-19. Now, let me share about Indonesia unemployment rate. In 2018, the unemployment rate in Indonesia was around 8.4%, and this makes it much higher than the global unemployment rate. However, the unemployment rate has decreased significantly, even though it's still not below than the global level.
Problems unemployment in Indonesia due to the first one. Limited employment opportunities are smaller than the number of job seekers. Employment is an important indicator of level the well-being of society and at the same time reduce the existing poverty rate. However, the imbalanced development between the rural and urban in Indonesia causes migration to urban cities to find jobs so that they can improve their living standards. This is because urban areas can provide a higher income compared to the rural areas, so it encourages many villages migrate to get a variety of jobs in urban cities. Unfortunately, the density of the number of workers in the urban cannot accommodate the small number of jobs. This is one of the causes why unemployment rate in urban is higher than in rural. However, unemployment in rural areas still occurs due to the involvement of villages in the traditional sector is still lacking and less interest in this sector. This will slow down Indonesia's economic growth due to the lack of investment flowing into rural areas. The investment mean is to bring foreign investors to invest in Indonesia in order to develop jobs that can absorb the growth of new manpower. The higher number of unemployment in rural encourage them to leave their country and continues to overseas to improve their quality of life. This is because countries like Qatar and Malaysia, especially those that have economic prosperity factors, are often used as an excuse and attention of many foreign workers from Indonesia to immigrate. Since 1997, Indonesians from rural areas working abroad have the potential to provide high income for them to work, especially as maids, working in the construction sector and so on. Over time, the number of migration is increasing due to the poverty factor in their country. Young Indonesians are not substantially advised on work-related opportunities and career skills. We already know that Indonesia is the world of four largest young population. In recent years, Indonesia has recorded very high rates of youth unemployment and jobless graduates. This could be a serious problem for the future development of the country. They are ordinarily engaged in unproductive work with a low-income generation. Based on analysis, youth are very vulnerable to the economic crisis because of less experience. Companies will not hesitate to dismiss if the situation of the company bears losses and bankrupt. Meanwhile, a group of young workers is also dealing with the dilemma of whether to further their studies or work earlier. This higher and persistent level of youth employment also indicates that the Indonesian government has failed to expect a large number of job seekers to enter the market.
So we continue with solution or measures to overcome the problem. So basically, unemployment in Indonesia is based on two situations. The first one, when COVID-19 that hit Indonesia caused millions of people to lose their job, and this caused the economy to decline. This has affected business activity and companies have had to lay off many employees. Next, the situation when many employees find it difficult to get information about the job that suit them. Policymakers have adopted expansionary fiscal policy and direct control policy. The first one is control direct policy. So the type of unemployment in Indonesia is frictional unemployment. So to overcome the problem of frictional unemployment, there must be better job information. Employees must find a new job or move from old job to a new one. Government can set up employment centers where they are employed with vacancies. This can also be reduced with a better flow of job information through newspaper, radio or the internet. Proposed policy for frictional unemployment includes setting up a computerized national employment bank that will provide better information to job seekers and prospective employees. Also, the government reduced the benefit of unemployment. Lower benefit will encourage people to take job faster. However, it is not clear whether this is justified. This can encourage people to take jobs that do not fit their skill. So the point here is, this method greatly speed up the process for us to get a job, but it does not pose a problem if the job we get is not suitable for us to work. Better manpower fit the vacancy. Job matching websites on the internet are potentially looking for faster vacancies for the employed. Many job seekers find the best new job resources through the professional network. Online services like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and have help in professional networking. This method is very helpful to many people in the way of finding a job online. For example, with such facilities, unemployment in Indonesia will make it easier to find a new job that meets the company's criteria. So this way can help many workers, especially in Indonesia, to find a job easily. This is one of the good initiatives to help the people around work to earn income to survive their life and thus reduce the number of unemployed in Indonesia.
To overcome significant unemployment, policymakers should focus on expanding output, which is most effectively achieved by stimulating demand. Expansionary fiscal policy is to increase aggregate demand and economic growth through increased government spending and tax cuts. To influence the economy, the use of fiscal policy is for the government spending and taxation. In this economy, government spends more money than they collect through taxes. The expansionary policy involved the combination of increased government spending and tax reduction. It leads to the rightward shift in the aggregate demand curve. Indonesia need to increase their government spending. Government spending is the money spent by the public sector on the acquisition of goods and provision of services. For example, like education, healthcare, and many more. Government spending aims to protect the people, safeguard social welfare, and also to promote the economy of the country. Government spending can be financed by government borrowing or taxes. If the government spending increases, the demand for goods and services will be increased, which can help increase output and employment. In this case, labor will be needed to continue the operation, hence reducing the unemployment in the country. This is because government spending raises aggregate demand and increased consumption, which leads to increased production. Next is, the reduction of taxes will leave more disposable income and cause consumption and saving to increase. It also shifting the aggregate demand to the right. High taxes mean consumers have less disposable income, which result in fewer convenience. When consumers buy less, business taking less revenue and less likely to hire a new worker or may even lay off workers to reduce costs. As so, when the tax decrease, the consumer have more money, which leads to increased revenue for business expansion and hiring. In this case, unemployment in the country can be reduced. An increase in government spending and reduction in taxes will surely also shift the eddy curve to the right.
In short, unemployment in Indonesia are driven by many young graduates having difficulties finding jobs because of major skills gap. Frictional unemployment.
Despite having a tertiary education, reflects a mismatch between the skills that Indonesians youth possess and the skills that industry require. Also, millions of Indonesia's workforce are being affected by the COVID-19 pandemic or lost their jobs. Cyclical unemployment due to business being slowed down or shut down.
In order to maintain stability of the economy, Indonesia's government can take these measures into account. Government can impose expansionary fiscal policy. In other words, the government should adopt a deficit budget, increase government expenditure and decrease taxes. Indonesia's central bank could implement an expansionary monetary policy, reduce discount rate, bank rate. Indonesia can buy security in open market operation, reduce interest rate, and reduce required reserve ratio. Furthermore, government may also reduce unemployment problems using direct control policy. For instance, provide information about jobs available to reduce frictional unemployment, create more training centers, provide more training or retraining to increase the skills of workers, encourage workers to be self-employed, and to establish small business. Last but not least, revise education system so that people gain knowledge and skills compatible with the needs in the job market.